Greetings, Kambo Warrior. In today's video, I want to talk about dopamine fasting. Now, this is probably something you've never heard of, so I'll explain it to you in a nutshell. Dopamine is the reward chemical in our brain. So anytime we do anything stimulating or something that makes us feel good, generally there's a release of dopamine. And this makes us feel rewarded, but it also reinforces that activity to make us want to do it again. And this is where addiction comes from. Essentially, addiction is an addiction to dopamine, not the substance or activity itself. So with a dopamine fast, what you do is for a minimum of 24 hours, but you can do it for longer, you abstain from any stimulation. So that means no electronics of any kind. So no phone, no laptop, no food, no conversations with people, no music, no reading. Essentially, you do nothing for 24 hours. The only things you're allowed to do are meditating, writing, going for walks, being in nature, things like that, drinking water. But essentially, you're going to have a really, really boring day or week or however long you decide to do it, where you don't have any stimulation whatsoever. Now, why would you want to do this? It sounds horrible. But when you do that, when you starve your brain of dopamine, what you're doing is you're resensitizing your dopamine system. So this follows on from the previous video I made where I talked about how we don't feel because we use substances and electronics to numb our feelings. And when we do that, it messes up our dopamine system. So if you're scrolling on your phone all the time and you're on your laptop all the time, what you're doing is you're creating an artificially high level of dopamine based on the use of these electronics. And then everyday life will lose its sheen, and basic tasks, things like going for a walk and just being, will start to, you won't be motivated to do them because they're not giving you enough of a hit. So when we do a dopamine fast, what we're doing is we're resensitizing our dopamine system. And then what should happen is basic tasks should become more, what's the word? Well, you should be more motivated to want to do them, and this can permeate through all aspects of your life. So it's something I found out about recently. I watched a video on it, and I will put a link to that video in the description below this video. But essentially what you're doing is you're starving your brain of dopamine. I'm going to try and do a 24-hour one. So either next week or the week after, I haven't decided what day, but I'm going to do a 24-hour dopamine fast. So from the moment I wake up in the morning, I don't turn my phone on, I don't go on the computer, I basically do nothing. I will sit and meditate, I'll go for walks, I will write if anything comes up, and we'll see what happens, and then I will report back in another video and explain what happened. So when we do a dopamine fast, it might bring up some emotions or certain things, because when we're using all the time, using electronics, having food, using substances, doing different activities, what it does is it kind of pushes feelings down. And when you take all of that stimulation away, a lot of feelings can come up. Now, a couple of years ago, I did something called Vipassana, which is a Buddhist meditation retreat. And that's where you go for 10 days it's 10 days of silent meditation. Now, on that retreat, there is food, so you're not fasting, but it's 10 days of silent meditation and there's no stimulation, there's nothing to do. So I've done something like this before, not exactly the same, but I've done something similar. But it was a couple of years ago and I really feel like I need it. So I'm gonna do a 24-hour dopamine fast in the next week or two, and then I will make a video about it and report back to you my findings. And if it's good, then it's something I might work in regularly into my schedule, maybe once a month, once every 6 weeks, something like that. So I'll leave it there, and I will do this dopamine fast, and then I will make another video and let you know how it goes.